Alright, before I get started breaking down my team and my predictions before the battle, I just want to say I originally was going to post this at the beginning of the battle video, but that would have put the total video length at over an hour, which seems excessive. So I'm separating them, and I also wanted to give a quick shout out to my opponent. He also has his own YouTube channel where he posts VGC content along with the Monotype Draft League content. So if you enjoyed this, you'll 100% enjoy his channel. I will link his YouTube channel in the description below. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is week 1 of the Monotype Draft League. I'm recording this before the first battle takes place, so really anything can happen. But I wanted to give a quick overview of what I'm expecting, what I'm bringing, and why. So first we'll go over my team preview. I broke it up into 3 categories: will bring, might bring, and will not bring. The will bring are Pokemon that I must have in this week or I will lose 100%. Might bring are Pokemon that can provide a benefit but may not actually be that useful. And will not bring are Pokemon that I see either not helping a whole lot or being a detriment to the team this week. So I'll go over each of those. So first up is the will bring. First I've got Crowbat, which is just, Crowbat's going to come every week. I don't see a reason that I would not bring it. It sets up my Tailwind, it can set weathers, and it's just a great support Pokemon all around. I don't think the team's really going to function well without Crowbat. Second is Vileplume. Vileplume is a will bring because it gets Sleep Powder, which is going to be very, very useful this week. It is weak to Ice, and that is a liability, but between the 2 Sleep Powder users, I see Vileplume being more useful than Amoonguss, because Vileplume gets Chlorophyll, and when I set the sun, Vileplume should be able to outspeed and put the threats to sleep before they can move. So that's why it's on the will bring category. Next up is Nihilego for the will bring, and Nihilego is gonna be the offensive powerhouse for this week. The rock typing is going to be invaluable versus ice, and I really can't go without it this week. The last will bring is Toxicity. Toxicity is just great typing for this week. It's double weak to ground, which could be an issue with Glastrier, but the electric typing is going to be invaluable with Arctovish possibly and Lapras running around. Also, it can throw around Nuzzles if that's a situation that comes up, and just paralyze stuff, really get annoying for the opponent. For the might bring, these are the Pokemon that have a trait that could be useful, but also could be a liability. First up is Qwilfish. Qwilfish is here because of Glastrier. Qwilfish gets Intimidate, and it could be very, very important to lower Glastrier's attack or Arctovish, Arctozolt's attacks. Because they are major, major threats that if they get rolling, there's not much on my team that can stop them. So Qwilfish is kind of fringe, might be the will bring category because it's very useful this week. Nidoking it's tough to place. It would be a very hard hitter, but the ground typing is a major problem that will really hurt the team, because it's really probably only going to get 1 good attack off if I bring it this week, and then I'm just going to be playing a man down. So I don't know if the pros outweigh the cons on Nidoking just yet. Toxicroak is going to be very useful for 2 reasons. One, water immunity with Lapras, and Arctovish, going to be very useful, eating up water type attacks and not taking any damage. And then it's also pretty good support. It hits fairly hard, and it gets faint, which could help with prediction games. So I see Toxicroak helping a lot, although it is in the Nidoking category where it probably will not stick around very often, but it does have the useful ability to switch in on water type moves. So that's something to look out for. The will not brings are Amoonguss. Amoonguss is, I talked about last week, is the best support Pokemon in Pokemon. But that is not necessarily true when the opponent is Glastrier, because Trick Room will not help because Glastrier is very slow. I believe the same base speed as Amoonguss, so that doesn't really help us a whole lot. And then it's also weak to Ice, so unlike Vileplume, which could maybe we'll have to eat one ice type attack and then start putting stuff to sleep. Amoonguss will have to eat 2 every turn, and that's just not going to happen. It's got great stay ability, but not when every Pokemon's going to be able to throw out ice type attacks. Same with Dragalge. Dragalge will not help in Trick Room. Glastrier is actually slower than it, so even if we get Trick Room up, it's just going to go down immediately. First move Glastrier does. So it's not going to be helpful this week. Drapion, I thought about it briefly with Mr. Mime, but I really don't think Drapion's going to help. It doesn't have enough attack to help out, and I just don't see it having any characteristics that the other Pokemon don't already have. And Slowking is going back with Amoonguss and Dragalge. Its main purpose is to set Trick Room, and that's just not happening this week. Our goal is to keep Trick Room off the field and hit Glastrier twice every turn before it can hit us. So next we'll go ahead and look at the opponent's team, what I think they'll bring, what they might bring, and what I do not think they'll bring. I'll be surprised if they do bring these. So first is the most likely bring. The first two are obvious, Glastrier and Lapras. Glastrier is just a monster. It's got great bulk. It's got great attack. It's slow, but it's going to be very, very good against a lot of my Pokemon. And I don't think we have anything that can take it out in one hit, so we'll kind of have to double up on it every turn or put it to sleep as soon as possible. Lapras is going to be tricky. It doesn't hit too hard on its own, but if it gets a weakness policy boost, it'll cause a lot of issues. And then also just the fact that it can set Aurora Veil without Hail will be very difficult for us to play around, because that will just make Glastrier even tougher to knock out. So like Glastrier, the main plan is to, if we see Lapras, is to put it to sleep as soon as possible so it cannot get Aurora Veil up. Next up is Arctovish. Arctovish and Arctozolt form, they're kind of the same role. I think Vish is going to be the more likely bring. They may bring both, but I don't think so. I think Vish is going to be the more likely bring because it has the water type, Fish's Rend, which is super effective against Nihilego. I think Nihilego is probably what he's going to be seeing as the biggest threat against him, and Arctovish is the better answer for that. So I think Arctovish is going to be the one to bring. And then Ninetales Alolan. Alolan Ninetales is just, I think, in my opinion, the superior Hail setter to Abomasnow. Abomasnow, it's useful, sort of, but it's slow, and it doesn't really have as much damage output as Ninetales would, because Ninetales is faster and it's more likely to get those Blizzard spam off. So I think Ninetales is the more likely bring of the Hail setters. The probably brings are Darmanitan, which I can see Darmanitan not being brought if he's scared of Nihilego, because it's slower than Nihilego, and he knows that I've got Tailwind, or he most likely knows I've got Tailwind. This is the first week, so there's not much to go off of. But if he thinks I'm bringing Nihilego and that's his threat, Darmanitan is going to get outsped and probably one-hit KO'd. He could bring a Sash on it, but I don't know if it's going to be worth the risk. It does hit like a truck, and it will do very good against most of my team, but Nihilego, I think, might prevent him from bringing it. Mr. Mime is probably going to be brought. I think the biggest thing that Mr. Mime has going for it, and this is true of Frostlass as well, but Mr. Mime gets Trick Room, which I've talked about briefly in my team. Glastrier is a monster in Trick Room, so I think he probably brings Mr. Mime to try and set that up, and I think in that case we are going to have to try and stop Mr. Mime somehow, some way. The last probably is Mamoswine. Mamoswine is an amazing attacker. It's got huge attack. It's got pretty good bulk. It has 2 good abilities. One, Thick Fat, reduces the damage of ice and fire type moves, which I do have some Pokemon that can throw around fire type attacks, so that could be useful. But the big one is going to be Oblivious, which makes it pretty much immune to Intimidate. It does not get its attack lowered when an Intimidate user switches in. And I do have Quillfish, and I did put in the chat kind of stupidly after I picked it that he was my only Intimidate user, so if he was paying attention to the chat, he knows that Quillfish has Intimidate, so he may bring it just for that. The least likely brings are Obama Snow, which I talked about before. I don't think it's as good as a Ninetales. I think he's only going to bring one, and it's going to be Ninetales this week. Arctozolt, just like Arctovish, I think that they're pretty much identical, except that Arctovish's stab special move, Vicious Rend, is going to be more useful this week, in my opinion, than Boltbeak. So I think Vish is the more likely bring. So I think Arctozolt is going to sit on the sidelines. Then Ice Cube, which Ice Cube it's very, very useful against physical attackers. It's got a great ability called Ice Face, where the first physical attack it takes, it does not take damage from it. It just switches forms, and it becomes its fast form that has less defense. But that's not true of special attacks. Special attacks go through that ability and do direct damage. Most of my team is special attackers, so I don't think he'll bring it. If he does bring it, then that's kind of a free attack for us, because we can just target around that ability and stop him from getting the offensive mode going. The last least likely bring is Frostlass. Frostlass, I believe, also gets Trick Room, like Mr. Mime does, but Frostlass is a lot more frail. Mr. Mime can use an Eviolite to boost its special defense and defense, stick around longer. Frostlass doesn't really have that. It can run a Focus Sash, but I don't think that's going to really be enough to justify bringing it over Mr. Mime. So I think that the least likely brings are mostly just outclassed by the Pokemon that I think he will bring, and Ice Cube is just not a good matchup for my special attacking team. So that's what I'm expecting him to bring. If he brings something different, I won't be too surprised. It's first week. We can't really see tendencies. But if I was building his team, this was how I would look at it. So it'll be interesting to see how his team is built and how we match up against it. Okay, so now we're going to look at the in-game team that I made, going by the preview that I just showed. So I refined it a little bit, and this is the team that I am going to be showing in the first week, and hopefully to some success. So first up, we have 4-Wing the Crowbat. I got a Serene mark on it. Right now it's carrying Tailwind, Sunny Day, Taunt, and Dual Wing Beat. Tailwind and Sunny Day are going to be to support the speed of my team, make sure we're going fast every turn, hitting before the opponent. And Taunt is to stop Trick Room and any other Hypnosis, Perish Song shenanigans that could be coming from Lapras. Right now it's EV trained, max HP, max speed with 1 point into attack. Next up, we have Rock Jelly, the Nihilego. This one actually came over from Sun and Moon. I've not caught this one in the den yet, but we got the Rock Jelly, the Galar champion. Right now we're carrying a Power Herb for the classic Nihilego moveset. It's trained for pure speed and then special attack, and right now I'm running Timid Nature, but it will still get special attack boosts if we get knockouts with it. So that's important to know, is that I've got max speed on it to help with any kind of outspeeding that might happen, but if I get rolling, then the special attack is going to be the stat that gets boosted. We got Protect, Sludge Bomb, Power Gem, and Meteor Beam. Once we use the first Meteor Beam, we won't be able to use it anymore unless we max it. But Power Gem and Sludge Bomb should be enough to get KOs, and once we get that first KO, if we get up to +2 special attack, then we should really be rolling. And if we get to that point, then hopefully that'll win the game for us. Third, we have Bad Hug the Quillfish. It's carrying an air balloon, and I have a Great Friend ribbon on it. So Quillfish is trained pure HP and defense with 4 points. I said 1 point earlier, but 4 EVs in special defense. We're running Intimidate for the ability. This is entirely as a... I keep doing that. But once I get back on it, this is entirely as a check for Galastria. It's important. check, not a counter, because Quillfish will not be able to take Glastrier 1v1, but it should be able to switch in, get the Intimidate down, and then avoid a Max Quake or a Stomping Tantrum or High Horsepower or whatever move he's running on it. That should hopefully help the team out, drop that attack, and get an immunity. The moves we're running are Protect, Acupressure, Scald, and Acid Spray. So Acupressure is going to be our pinch move. If we're really in a pinch, we can throw that, maybe get a good roll, maybe get the stat we need. Scald, I'm going to be spamming Scald on Glastrier, trying to get that burn. And Acid Spray, if I'm matched up with another special attacker, then Acid Spray should be able to help out, target the Pokemon on the opposite side, get that special defense drop, and hopefully help out his teammates. The next Pokemon is Low-Key, the Toxicity. So I do have the Low-Key form, and I just named it Low-Key. Kind of a lame nickname, but I'll stick with it. And I got a dozy mark on it, so it's perfect that it's the Low-Key form. We're running Throat Spray on it. I was going back and forth between Throat Spray and Choice Scarf. I think I'm going to stick with Throat Spray. We shouldn't be outsped by anything once we get Tailwind up. And Throat Spray should be able to help us get some knockouts. Make a Toxicity a second attacker instead of just kind of being support and being like a one-hit attacker. Max speed, max special attack with 1 point in defense. Punk Rock ability, so that combined with the Throat Spray should really help us out, get some real key knockouts. Moveset is Overdrive, Sludge Bomb, Hyper Voice, and Nuzzle. You can see there's no Protect, that's kind of a remnant of this Choice Scarf set. Overdrive is probably what we're going to be spamming most of the time, unless we run into Mamoswine, in which case Hyper Voice, hopefully with the Choice Throat Spray and Tailwind outspeed, hopefully Hyper Voice gets those knockouts on Mamoswine that we need. And importantly, if he is running the Thick Fat, it's not going to be affected by it. And then the fifth Pokemon of our 6 Pokemon team is Croaker, the Toxicroak. He's carrying an Expert Belt, and he's got the Dry Skin ability. So Dry Skin, I've talked about it a bunch before. It could be a very, very key switch in against Lapras and or Arctovish. Get that immunity, get that healing if it's been hurt before. Maybe we're probably going to see some damage get take off because of the harsh sunlight. I'm hoping to run Sun this game. That should hopefully help us deter their hail and get Vileplume up and running. Which, spoiler alert, Vileplume is the last Pokemon. This is pure speed and special and regular attack. Hopefully that'll give us enough speed to outspeed stuff. I haven't run all the calcs on Toxicroak to see what we're going to be outrunning, so I figured max speed going to be pretty safe bet. The moveset is Fake Out, Feint, Brick Break, and Throat Chop. So Fake Out and Feint are going to be 2 great moves this match. Fake Out should hopefully be able to stop Arctovish from doing anything crazy, and Feint will be able to not have to play around potential protects. We can, if we think someone's going to call a protect, Feint and attack. If we're wrong, oh well, 2 attacks on them. Brick Break could be huge against Lapras. Lapras can set down those Aurora Veil. Brick Break breaks Aurora Veil along with Light Screen and Reflect. So if Lapras gets those up, it's not the end of the world as long as we still have Toxicroak on the field. Throat Chop is for Mr. Mime. If we're in a situation where we can't taunt it, Mr. Mime hopefully won't be able to stand up the Throat Chop. It probably will, but I'm hoping we can get some residual damage before it gets to that point. One important thing to note is Trick Room has negative priority, so it will be going last every time. So even if Throat Chop is not a KO, then my teammate should be able to support with another attack, knock out Mr. Mime, and hopefully put the end to the Trick Room shenanigans. If it's Frostlass, even better. Less bulk, easier to knock out. And on Croaker, we have the Giddy ability, And you might notice I've caught this one in a Master Ball. I'm kind of anal about each Pokemon having a different ball. It's just something weird that I like to do. And I think the Master Ball fits Croaker pretty well. I don't know. Maybe it was stupid, but I enjoy it. The last is Smelly the Vileplume. And we have the early riser mark on this one. So that's perfect for playing under the sun, and that's perfect for Vileplume. Hopefully Vileplume puts in the work that I'm hoping it will, and puts in the work that we need it to for this team. We're carrying a Yachi Berry, which is very important. Yachi Berry I don't think will help us against Glastrier. I think it's still going to be a knockout if Glastrier uses it. But with Intimidate, hopefully we can get it down to that. It won't affect it. And then the Arctovish, it should be able to take an Icicle Crash with the Yachi Berry. So we cannot outspeed Arctovish, unfortunately, with Crowbat. The only way to do that was to run a Choice Scarf on it, and I really didn't want to lock Crowbat into Sunny Day. So if we see Hail and Arctovish lead, then we're really banking on surviving that first hit, getting the sun up, and then spreading sleep. I've ran through that potential lead a couple times, and that's the best I could come up with. Hopefully we don't see it, but I think it's going to be a pretty obvious lead, and I think we're going to have to play through that. Obviously Chlorophyll is the ability. We got Modest Nature and Max Speed, Max Special Attack. The Max Speed is important because we need outspeed Ninetales if we get that sun up. So in the sun, Vileplume will easily outspeed the Arctovish, Arctozolt, but we're going to have to eat that first attack, and then we need that max speed to outspeed Ninetales and get the sleep on it. For the moveset, we've got Sleep Powder, Solar Beam, Sludge Bomb, and Moonblast. Like I've mentioned a couple times, I'm planning on running in the sun. Vileplume really is not going to do much outside of the sun, so that Solar Beam is a great offensive option in the sun, and hopefully we won't be running into any charge turns. Hopefully it'll just be load up and knock out. Sludge Bomb, obviously second stab. There are some Pokemon that on his team that will resist Solar Beam. Sludge Bomb is a great second option, and then Moonblast. Moonblast isn't going to help a whole lot against any of his Pokemon. I don't think any of them are weak to it, but that 30% chance to lower the special attack could be a huge boost for us against Lapras, against Frostlass, if he brings it. If it, for whatever reason, he runs a special Arctovish or Arctozolt, going to be huge there. But the big one's Lapras. If we see Lapras, we'll probably be throwing Moonblasts at it, not Solar Beams, because we don't want to proc a weakness policy, and we want to lower the special attack as much as possible. But that is basically the team. 4-Wing, Rock Jelly, Bad Hug, Loki, Croaker, and Smelly. Hopefully it's a good team. Hopefully they put in the work that I need them to, and we get a win this week. Either way, I'm going to be posting the video, and either way I'll be doing a recap at the end to see what went wrong or what went right if we win, hopefully. But that'll be at the end of the video. Next up will be the battle. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in Pokemon or VGC, I'm planning on also posting videos for all my battles this season for the Draft League, and also posting videos for regular VGC and Little Cup VGC. So if you're interested in any of that, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Thank you.